All right, all good? Okay. All right. I'll just start. Obviously, emotional next couple days for everyone associated with this thing. There's a bunch of difficult decisions we have to make on the roster, and it's not going to be easy at all. And so these guys have put everything into this thing. These guys have competed all off season, and so we appreciate everything that these guys have done. Ultimately, our goal, as we said, is to keep as many of these guys in this building as possible, and so that's ultimately our goal as we build this thing. We did our first wave of transactions today, so we did 14 of those. Obviously, we know there's another portion of the roster that we have to trim down to get to our 53, and so we'll continue to build that, and that's really our main focus for the next 24 hours is really just about the building the roster, and then once we get to the 53 and get the practice squad back, obviously then we get really specific into the roles of all these guys that they'll be partaking in this season, and so our focus will shift quickly there to Arizona and all the fun stuff that's coming ahead of our way. But we'll practice on Wednesday, Thursday this week, so we'll get some good work there. And then, obviously, quarterback-wise, we'll communicate that once we've talked through that with everyone associated with that decision. And so we'll go through that process in the next little bit. And so we'll communicate that with you guys once the appropriate time reaches it. So I'll open up for the discussion.
So you've made a decision on the quarterback, but you're not announcing it yet?
No, we're talking through. We'll talk through that stuff, and then we'll get there.
How far away are you from making the decision?
Yeah, obviously pretty close. Time's coming up. We're getting ready for Arizona, and so it'll happen soon.
Film on at the beginning of that, what did you kind of see the quarterback?
Quarterback-wise, a lot of good stuff. Felt like all three guys took a step, made some plays, did some really good things. Felt like you're excited about all these guys' development.
Can you walk us through just, I guess to this point, how much has gone into the quarterback decision in the last 24 hours? Did you all meet about it yesterday? Are you meeting about it again? Kind of what does that look like as the team's trying to make that final?
Yeah. Obviously, plenty of conversations. Just like any other role and defined situation for a lot of these guys. It's not just the quarterback position. There's a lot of positions with this. The quarterback position certainly gets magnified. We watched the film yesterday. Had a good staff review, good personnel department review on the game, and now we're obviously making the roster moves and then heading forward, moving after that to everyone's defined roles. But a lot of good stuff in there for those guys.
Does that mean that just as procedure, you had not gotten to the stage yet where you were like, all right, it's time to make our final decision, or you guys have had discussions and feel it warranted further?
We'll get all that stuff locked down really shortly. I think our main focus is it's really challenging to get to 53 guys right now, and so that's a really difficult task. And we understand there's a lot of other things that everyone wants to get the answers to rather quickly, but we're really honing in on that here in the next 24 hours, and then we'll get that in the appropriate time for everyone.
Punter, seems what made you guys want to go with Kroger?
We did part of our transactions was James, and so that was obviously a difficult decision there. So obviously, Kai's right there. He had the one. It's a pretty unique game for as little points as we scored to kick punt one time was a unique game, but Kai got that opportunity, and so he's done some nice things, and obviously it's a difficult thing for James just because we see a really good NFL future for James as well, and so again. We've made 14 of these. We got a lot more to go. We're rooting for all these guys if they're not a part of our journey, but we're also hoping as many of these guys that we can get back, we'll try and do.
How about some of your injuries, like Landon Young? Any update there?
Yeah. Landon's looks like it may take a little bit of time, so we'll see how that one goes. But there'll be a couple challenging injuries that came out of that.
Will he go on injured reserve?
We'll see. It's kind of based off the timeline and then where the roster sits.
How does that work now? Do you have to declare when you put the guys on IR today or tomorrow that they're designated to return, or they're all eligible to return? We just had to designate. We don't have to do the old where you have to carry them on the 53, hold them for a day, and then. Do you have to designate which ones? Like if you put 4 guys on IR, you have to pick.
There has to be some designation with those guys, yeah. But might be a detail to circle up with Mickey on.
Do you launch full scale into the Cardinals on Wednesday? Is that sort of how the game plan works now?
We'll be about 80% Arizona. We'll be really focused on Arizona. There'll still be some stuff that we just want to do ones versus ones. A lot of it just comes down to some situational football that we'll just hit with ones versus ones. there's a lot of, little things, little nuances that come up in your game plans that maybe you're going to reserve until your roster's kind of solidified, and we'll go through some of those plays and situations, over the course of the next 2 days, which is good exercise for all three phases.
Is there a benefit to having the quarterback done by the time you launch in Wednesday?
Yeah, that makes sense.
I was going to ask, like, how early on do you start looking at some of the early opponents? Is it like when the schedule comes out, like you start taking some looks at maybe the first couple teams, or kind of how does that work?
Yeah, it's kind of a journey through the whole offseason. I think as soon as you get that schedule, everyone kind of gravitates to it, and you grab little moments here and there throughout the summer to watch, certainly your early opponents, get a little feel for those guys. This week we'll begin our process really of starting to introduce Arizona. I think it's important is you continue to focus on yourself and keep building yourself. And so, again, we'll hit plenty of Arizona for Wednesday and Thursday to get ourselves prepared for next week, which will be the full-on regular in-season week. But there's still plenty of little things that I think we need to focus on from a team standpoint.
In the same vein, when it comes to health, how was Trevor Penning coming along?
Yeah, he's progressing well. Obviously, he was out there at the game. He still got his boot on, but doing a lot of good things. And so we'll continue to evaluate these timelines, especially as they correlate to the 53-man roster, and we'll have to make some decisions just there, certainly tomorrow.
So there's anything with the injuries and on the offensive line throughout training camp?
O-line wise, yeah, it's one of those goofy things that happens. It seems like training camp tends to, you got to navigate different challenges, and certainly the offensive line, we've lost a number of guys there, and so the severity of that can be a little bit challenging. We'll have to see how this thing goes over the next 48 hours as we build the roster and, kind of put that together, because obviously it's a really important aspect of our team.
How difficult is that to go when you got an injury at a certain position? It may not be long-term, but you got to kind of puzzle together.
Yeah, part of it's talking about the 53, part of it's talking about the game day 48. Naturally, you can have inactives the first few weeks of the season. You're going to have them, and so some guys that are injured may be able to apply to that situation as long as we have the necessary components to build the 48. And so it's really healthy discussions. There's a lot of pieces, and again, I just keep going back to our goal is to keep as many of these guys as we can. And so how we get there's a few tools in the toolbox.
Other serious injuries come out of your serious team?
Trying to think. Yeah, Saturday. Holy cow. Yeah, I think the rest, we're navigating. There's still some guys that have a couple lingering things that may last a couple weeks, but we'll see how it all goes.
Did you release Cam Akers and kind of let them into that position?
Yes, Cam was part of those transactions. Difficult one because he's a really good running back in this league. He can contribute. He can contribute for us. We just felt like the depth of that room. Kendra did a phenomenal job this entire offseason. I think we talked about him after the game. We got a number of other guys that we feel like can provide some roles, and so we'll finalize the rest of this running back group. But we feel like we're gonna have a really, really good competitive group there, and so we'll see how everything progresses.
Kellen, obviously you only went like a year. You weren't working with Brandon, but curious if from your time with him in LA to now, if you noticed any differences in him, the way he coaches, the way he relates to guys, the way he communicates, anything like that.
Be a good question for Brandon. I think seeing him in a different role, obviously, being the defense coordinator, I think he's just done a phenomenal job of connecting with this group, really building a really clear vision for what we want on defense, and you can just feel the buy-in from that group. I think we got excellent leaders on the defensive side that have really led the way with the experienced players that we have. And so, I feel like the first 3 weeks he's put us in excellent position to win preseason games. Obviously, there's a lot of moving pieces with preseason games, but he's done an awesome job. And, we feel very fortunate to have Brandon, coordinate our defense.
When you looked at the game tape, were you encouraged by what the first defense did?
Loved it. Loved the energy. Loved the execution that they played with. I thought Sutton made some big time catches, and we those are going to happen. You got to rally right after that. DeMario's penalty was a little bit of an unfortunate thing because he felt like he had him pinned back there, 2nd and 20, whatever it was. But I felt like the play style was right, the execution we were heading in the right direction there. They made a couple plays. I feel like we came out of that feeling pretty good about that group.
We probably asked you about just Staley in this specific role before, but. Did you feel fortunate you were able to get a guy with his pedigree, a guy that had head coach experience, to be kind of your number one on defense?
No doubt. It's a phenomenal opportunity. I feel fortunate to be getting the team up with Brandon again. His experience as a head coach is really valuable for me. You know, there's plenty of little nuances and little questions that we get to rally and discuss. And, you know, his expertise on the defense side is really, really next level. You know, his experience with the Rams, certainly before that when he was with Vic in Chicago and Denver was really valuable experience. You know, his experience with the Chargers and then, you know, going to San Francisco to see a different perspective, I think was awesome for Brandon. You know, I feel like we're in an excellent position. He's going to give our team an excellent chance to compete each and every week. I love the way he provides all the tools necessary for this group, you know, and you know, I think the fun part of it is you see this season progress. You'll see us, you know, play in different styles, different tools, different game plans. And I think that's a huge advantage over the course of an entire season.
Kellen, you've been a part of the roster trim down process, but how much more difficult is it as a head coach when having to have those conversations?
Yeah, this is the worst couple days right here. Worst couple days of this job, just because all these guys have done everything we've asked them, and that's the biggest thing. And you hope this is just a moment in time, and they just keep going on this journey. And you're always rooting for these guys. The guys that may unfortunately not be able to come back in any capacity, we're rooting for those guys. We want those guys to succeed in some capacity in football, and we want to see them keep going for it. And we're here for them, but it's not easy at all.
Guys, like, do you tell them that, hey, we want you back on the practice squad, like, depending on who it is, like, of those 14, like, have you communicated, like, stick around maybe?
There's different layers of discussions just because I think part of it also is there's a lot of moving pieces from a practice squad perspective. And so, you know, you got to kind of let the 53 go through. There's a waiver claim process, and then you start building your practice squad from there. And so there's a lot of different conversations. I think the biggest thing is for everyone just to stay ready. You never know how this thing goes. There's plenty of full circle opportunities that present themselves over the course of time, and, you know, we'll see how it all plays out.
It's not that long ago as a player. Does that make it easier to deal with it, or does that make it harder because you know what they're going through?
Yeah. I've been cut a few times as a player, and so it's not a fun process. It's not an easy process. There's an emotional connection to it, and I think the biggest thing is for these guys just to keep going for it, keep competing. You know, more opportunities are going to present themselves. It's a long season, and so, you know, naturally roster transactions occur throughout this entire season. These guys got to stay ready, and when the opportunity presents itself, you know, we get to lean back on a lot of these guys because we've invested so much into these guys.
Is there a science to that, just like in terms of timing, which ones you might do today, which ones you might do tomorrow, or is it just kind of just working through it?
Yeah, just working through it. Just, you know, did some today and we'll do some tomorrow, and we'll just kind of see how it all plays out.
Do you know yet if the Taysom roster will start on PUP, and are they kind of on the timetable y'all expected a few months ago?
Yeah, we're going to finalize those discussions actually today, just to kind of talk through the timelines of some of those medical guys, and that'll put us in position to see how the 53 plays out. Again, we've talked about that. You got to have inactives naturally, and so we'll have the discussions as far as all these injured guys and the pup guys timelines.
How close are those two guys to practicing?
They've been progressing really, really well. I don't think we haven't narrowed down a specific timeline for those guys, but they have done everything you could think of. They're the best. Those two, like, to see those guys go through this pup journey, it's not easy. You know, they had real injuries that. You know, you got to go through a long process mentally, emotionally, physically, and to see where those guys are. And they've been through this whole training camp with us. They've been rallying around these guys, supporting them, helping them, while also getting ready as players. You know, I think they're two awesome examples of what it means to be, you know, a teammate, a leader in an NFL organization.
Did Christian Boyd's hand check out all right?
Yeah, there'll be something there. You know, he'll have to navigate that. That won't be an easy thing, but I don't think it's something that's going to deter him from not being able to play, you know, this year, you know, in the near future.
His position, is he sort of, you know, he needed to have a bandage or a club or something like that? Like,
Yeah.
to be comfortable with him?
Yeah. The part of it is, I think, is just, you know, deciding the tools, mechanisms, and then get comfortable with it. You know, there's a lot of different positions, and when you wear, you know, different things to support an injury, you got to do it and just get out on the field and see how it feels, and then we'll adjust from there.
You talked about Cam Akers, but Devin Neal, he was hurt a little bit in training camp and came back. Where are you guys on with him right now?
I thought his first outing was pretty good. By no means is it perfect. It's his first time of playing action. It's the third preseason game, and so it was a goofy timeline for him. I thought he hopped in there and did a really good job. He played a number of snaps on offense, special teams. He was able to contribute. I thought he did some really good stuff.
Kellen, do you have any philosophy on how many quarterbacks you keep? I mean, is it team to team in the past? Have you kept 3, 2? You know, what's been your history with that?
Yeah, a few ways to juggle it, just with the 53 in the practice squad, and that sometimes has to do with other positions, you know, as we navigate this thing. You know, I think we've always had 3 or 4 in the building, and keep as many of those guys as we can, because you know, you need to have depth, and you're continuing to develop that position. And so, you know, obviously we've had 3 most places, but we got to navigate the roster and just see what that presents us with.
Do the questions about the quarterback position wear on you a little bit, or is that just part of the job and you expect that?
Yeah, it's part of the job. I understand that aspect of this thing. You know, it's a big decision for us. It's one position, and we think we got a really good group. We got a young group, so it's been a unique process. You got to let these guys play this whole training camp out, which I think has been a great exercise for all these guys. And we see great futures for all of them. We see great futures for them, and so you know, we'll navigate it and we'll keep on moving. Good. All right. Thanks, guys.